If you're running Meta Ads and you're sending people to this particular conversion location, you could be leaking a lot of money. My name is Luke Smith. Welcome to Ad Spend Secrets. In this episode, we're going to talk about a particular situation that I came across recently when I was auditing a client account and they've come on board as a client. We noticed straight away when we got in there and did an audit that something was standing out as a bit of a red flag in that Meta account. And we're going to chat about it in this episode. It's not something that comes up too frequently, but if it's affecting you, if you're running your campaigns in this exact way, this is something that you're going to want to jump in and have a quick check to make sure that this isn't happening for you, because if it is, your CPA could be higher than it should be or could be. So what we're talking about is the conversion location, the destination in which you're sending people from your Meta campaigns, whether it be clicking through from Instagram or Facebook. And in this instance, we're talking about purchase campaigns, particularly for e-commerce. So when you set up your campaign, you're prompted to select sales, for example, as an objective. And then the next piece is where do you want the conversion to take place? And typically there's those checklists, the radio buttons where it will say website, it will say calls, WhatsApp. It's got a few options these days. Most people would select website. Now, particularly in the US, but in Australia as well, but primarily in the US, this is more prominent, is the option to have website and shop, right? And so what Facebook's going to do, it's going to start optimizing your ad campaigns if you select Meta and shop to serve ads to people and send them to the destination where it thinks they're most likely to convert, which means that if Facebook doesn't think that they're likely to convert on your website based on their browser behavior and what it knows about that particular individual, it might send them to your shop. And if your shop is not fully optimized, then it may not be the best consumer journey. It may not be the best way to get them to purchase. And so let's zoom out a second and sort of discuss what is a shop. Well, this is set up within your Facebook Commerce Manager. So you may have seen this lingo within your business suite. You'll be able to go into your business suite and have a look at your commerce manager, and you can essentially set up a shopping experience within Facebook so that people don't actually have to go to your website at all to purchase, and it's this frictionless or low friction alternative to get people to buy in a more seamless way without leaving Meta. So Meta, ideally, they would like people never to leave their platform. They're in the attention game and they want people on their platform. So they also want to get advertisers results. So if they can combine their objective there, which is keeping people on the platform, with an advertiser or small business's objective of making as much money or as many purchases as possible for their budget, then it's a win-win. So they've started sending people to the shop experience if you set up your campaigns in this way. And they're sending people based on whether they're likely to convert. And you can customize the shop a little bit within that commerce manager. You can, create a bit of a landing page experience per se, or create sort of collections and different product sets and things like that and make it look a little bit better. But you really want to see where the money's going. It's always following the money in these examples. So if you've got a campaign that's set up like this, I would have a look in Ads Manager, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what we saw with this client now and why it stood out as a bit of a red flag. So we could see in this person's particular account that they had a history of running purchase campaigns, which is great as an e-commerce store. And all of the campaigns, probably up to December last year, were website purchases, and it was directed to the website only. We could see this at the campaign level in the setup. And then from around January to present, which is currently around May, all of their campaigns switched to website and shop in terms of the conversion location. And what we saw was the average CPA on the previous campaigns up until around December, they were sitting at an average of around $50, $55, which is on the high end. But then the new campaigns, when they started to change the conversion location and set up their campaigns in that different way from January onwards, they were an average of $116. And so, it was glaringly obvious that something was different between these campaigns. And having a look inside of them, there wasn't much difference with the targeting. There wasn't much difference with the creatives. They were reusing a lot of creatives in a lot of these examples. And so then we started looking a little bit deeper and saying, okay, well, where is the money going? And Facebook is pretty good at giving us some metrics which can show us what's going on inside this campaign. So the metrics that you want to look for to figure out how much of your advertising dollars are going to shop versus website, firstly looking at the link clicks. So that will give you the total number of clicks on the ads. Then you want to open up a column called shop clicks. And this is going to give you an indication of how many people are clicking the ad and going to shop. Now, if you look at the ratio of shop clicks to link clicks, so shop clicks divided by link clicks, it's going to give you an idea of what percentage of traffic is going to shop versus website and a few other places, but primarily website. You can also look at a column called outbound link clicks, which might give you a clearer view of how many people are going to the website. This example was around 50%, which is high. We've had other campaigns and other accounts we've looked at where they're running this same kind of objective, and it would typically be at least 80% going to the website. Not a major issue. Facebook's, diverting a bit of traffic to shop here and there if it thinks they're likely to convert. But this particular account was 50-50, and it was already a little bit inefficient. So when we dug into the budget, they in this example spent around $3,000. So if half of their clicks had gone to the shop, they'd spent around $1,500, on ads, getting people to the shop. And then the question becomes, okay, well, we've spent this money to get them there. Are they converting? And then the next thing you want to look at is purchase data, obviously. So opening up the column for purchases has a subsection for purchases on Meta, and it has website purchases. And that's an important differentiation because it's going to show you the amount of people checking out through Meta versus the website. There's also another column for shop assisted purchases and direct website purchases. So you want to have a look at both of those metrics as well. And there's another column, I believe, for shop purchases directly. But with all of these columns, you'll be able to weigh up exactly what's going on. You can look at direct website purchases, and you can look at shop assisted, and you can look at Meta purchases. So purchases that happen solely on Meta. And you'll start to see these numbers sort of add up to the total number of purchases that is tracked by Facebook as a whole. And you can start to see the ratio of sales that Facebook's able to track from the website versus the shop. In this instance, we could only see, say from example, 30 sales, we could only see one tracked directly from the shop. And we could see around 10 or so as shop assisted. Now, shop assisted is also a little bit vague. It means they've probably checked out on the website anyway, but they've engaged with the shop at some point. So when we looked at the amount of money that was spent on the shop clicks, the amount of money was spent sending people to the website, the CPA, the cost per purchase difference was black and white. It was around $50 for the website, and it was around $600 or so for trackable shop purchases that we could see. So the natural next step for this client is just to revert back to just sending people to the website as the conversion location. Let's get all the budget going there. That's step number one. Step number two is let's find new creatives to try and lower the cost per click, because the secondary issue they had was that the cost per click was, too high for an e-commerce brand. It was $4 or $5, and we need to bring that down to start to get those numbers to make sense when you look at the cost per click, the website conversion rate, and what that's going to track back to in terms of a cost per purchase. So I hope that was helpful. This is something that, as I said, doesn't get looked at too frequently or in too much detail by brands, but these little things can uncover some wasted spend. So if you're running a website and shop, jump in, have a look at these metrics, see if you can figure out whether you should be pivoting to just go website only for the time being, and maybe revisit the shop conversion location at another date, or just get your control back. Don't give Meta the liberty of sending people to the website or the shop, and just get 100% of people to your website, work on the website conversion rate, and hopefully you can get that CPA a bit lower running things that way. If you'd like an audit on your account, as always, you can reach out at simplyconverting.com, and I'm happy to jump in and take a look. If you like this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll keep posting videos like it.